prominent figure at this secret meeting was Ion Iliescu. For several years he'd been regarded as a possible successor to Ceausescu, but after falling foul of Elena Ceausescu he'd been forced out of political life. By general consent he was the leader, and nowadays as president he dislikes any suggestion that he might have got there as a result of a conspiracy.
I came to the former Central Committee at 5 o'clock, but there was full of people, thousands of people meeting there. So there was a spontaneous group, many people. We did not know each other very well, only some of them.
In fact, it's hard to find anyone here who didn't know each other beforehand. A Marxist intellectual who had once been a Stalinist hardliner, Silviu Brucan, had just arrived. Until that morning, he'd been under house arrest. He'd been out of political life for months.
The theory of conspiracy, coup d'etat, which was very à la mode in the French press and probably in the British press also, looks very attractive for newspapermen, but doesn't hold water.
But despite what Silviu Brucan says, the brooding figure of General Nicolae Militaru, regarded as pro-Russian, was there because he had been involved in a conspiracy against Ceausescu. It had begun in earnest 6 months before, and the plan was to stage a coup in February 1990. Ceausescu was to be taken prisoner while he was holidaying somewhere outside Bucharest. His guards would be put out of action with tranquilizer guns. But the guns weren't due to be delivered until January 1990, the month after the revolution actually broke out. Militaru and the other conspirators had been overtaken by events.
Don't be surprised if Mr. Brucan says nothing was planned. He doesn't know. No doubt Mr. Iliescu will say the same thing. He still doesn't admit it, even now.
Was Iliescu part of the plot?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, he says. In the meeting, there was a big argument about what name to give the group they were in the process of forming. General Militaru and most of the others want to call it the National Salvation Front. Petre Roman, the outsider, objects. That sounds like hell, he says, meaning it smacks too much of communism. Then General Militaru lets the cat out of the bag. Look, my dear chaps, he says, the National Salvation Front has been in existence for 6 months. By blurting this out, General Militaru is confirming that there was indeed a long-standing conspiracy involving several of the people here. The man who made this video available to us was called a traitor for allowing it to be known publicly. It undermined the accepted view of the revolution.
Iliescu agreed with the name National Salvation Front from the very beginning, long before the revolution. He was the one who had the idea of writing a manifesto to a foreign radio station using the front's name.
I don't think the revolution could be by somebody confiscated. There is another formula, that the Romanian revolution was confiscated by somebody, by Iliescu and his friends. It is a non-realistic and non-political, non-scientific approach to a social process.
The fundamental question is whether these men, all of them former communists, had come together in order to take charge of the revolution and turn Romania into a reformist, pro-Russian communist state. Naturally enough, they strongly deny it nowadays. Yet whatever the people in here wanted scarcely mattered. It was abundantly clear by now that the vast crowds outside, the people who had actually made the revolution, wouldn't stand for anything less than a complete end to communism. And they got their